Hello, friends. Welcome back. I hope my stream stays live. Sorry about the technical problems. Again, I ordered a new Mevo camera. So hopefully that will, along with the service contract this time, so if it breaks down within a year, I will return it, or 3 years actually. Okay, so let me tell you where I've been. I haven't done actually very much painting since I left you last. Very little. But suddenly, maybe 5 minutes after I finished broadcasting last time, you can go back and watch it if you want to. Suddenly, this is part of the mystery of portrait painting. Suddenly, my granddaughter's face, this is my granddaughter doing her portrait, suddenly she appeared as if magic. I don't know which mark, I think it was around her mouth somewhere. It wasn't, it was looking like a nice little girl. That's where I left off with you last time. It was looking like a nice, cute little girl, but it didn't feel like my granddaughter until all of a sudden the sun came out, the birds began to sing, the angels sang, you know, and all of a sudden it looked like my granddaughter. Oh my goodness. And I'm not exactly sure what I did. Welcome to the wild and wacky world of portraiture. So at that point, I stopped without going much further. Say, well, let's fall back in my case on my approach, my technique. This is what I do when I'm doing portraits live at a wedding, which I do quite often. I took a picture. Let me see. So let's see if I can crop this. I know, I'll just blow it up. So I took a picture of my painting, right? So that right there is just click a picture of the painting. Then in an app called Photo Collage Editor, I just put a link to that in some of the comments below. I took this image, I put those two images side by side. Then in my photo editor in my phone, I turned them around. So this is the second time. Again, if you watched my earlier broadcast today, I already did this once. This is the second time. Same exact process, second time, more refined. So there's the mirror image. As soon as I did this, I went, okay, yeah, it still kind of looks like my granddaughter, but I can see several little changes that I want to make. So here's, again, 3 cheers for a high technology. I sent that image to my computer, which is right here behind you on my desk, and I very simply printed it out on my printer. Okay, and then in a way, I feel like this looks like a lot of work, but it's not. It's maybe in portrait, 15 minutes in my book is nothing. So this is maybe 5 minutes of work. Looking at, again, the mirror image of both the photo and my painting, I started making just very sit down with a cup of coffee, relax inside, and just start making notes. And this is very OCD. No. This is obsessive compulsive without the disorder. So it's just OC, not OCD. And just started making notes. Number one, bottom eyelid up and crease under eye up. Number one. Number two. Number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 18. Okay, so I came up with 18 different modifications. Slight adjustments, pretty slight. But it's pretty hard to go from here to here. Why? Because this is a mirror image, right? So this is reverse. So after coming up with 18 modifications, then I switch to this one down here, and I translate from this to this. The same 18, drawing again, the same 18, this time looking at this photograph, which is the same as that one, right? To make sure that I'm still gathering information. So I have 18 different modifications to the painting that I need to make. So now it is not really that difficult. Let me get a piece of tape here. I don't think, not really that difficult to take those 18. Now see, I know that there's some of you out there, some of you who may be very, very, very good portrait painters and saying, this is all hogwash. I never do anything like that, man. I just get the paint out and I just start painting and it looks exactly like, well, good for you, man. I am so happy for you. If you have those kind of skills. But frankly, Not many do. I feel like one of my skills in the realm of art is to take things that other people do intuitively, but they can't describe what they're doing, and bring it up to conscious verbal linguistic level so I can actually describe. So some people do all of this intuitively. I grant you, most do not. Most people have to know what they're doing. So I'm telling you here, this is what I do, and I know what I'm doing. Does that make sense? You don't have to do what I'm doing. If you've got a better technique, go for it, man, and share it with me. But as I travel the world, I mean, sure, some people are better than me. Of course, of course, of course, of course. By the same token, most aren't. Okay? So I'm neither being arrogant nor humble. I'm better than most, but not better than everybody. And this is where I'm at in my journey. And so I'm sharing it with you because it works pretty well for me. Um, so now I have to translate all of these notes. Again, 15 minutes of work up here, not that much, and then several minutes here. Now, at this point, I'm going to take a crazy Dan Nelson detour. Okay. At this point, and I'm experimenting a little bit here. I haven't done this a lot, but today I'm in the mood to grab these wacky pencils. Can you read this? Is it backwards? It is backwards. Okay, hang on just a second. Let me turn you around. There you go. Come on, come on, come on. Jerry's Artorama. Whoops. Helps with Jerry's Artorama Artist Products Jumbo Jet Black. And there's my trumpet lamp and my computer and so on. I'll turn you around back around this way. Okay. So I am actually going to use a pencil. But please understand, especially if you're a beginner, this is wild and wacky Dan Nelsonism. It's very unconventional to use pencils in oil paintings. I'm doing it because in the last 3 years, I do pencils in all of my paintings. Why? Because I like the way it looks. So using them in a portrait is a little bit of a different animal. Don't you agree? A little bit weird to use pencils in a portrait, but I'm going to try it. First of all, I did it at a wedding last Sunday, 8 days ago. Today's Monday. I did this at a wedding 8 days ago. And frankly, I loved the effect. Very much. It was you can go back and watch me do a wedding in Chapel Hill and see where I used pencils in portraits, smaller portraits, of course. But I just like the way it turned out. So that encourages me, well, let's try that again. So a word of caution, I'm not going to, now after I've got these lines on the canvas, I'm not going to turn this into a paint by number color in the lines. Okay, so I'm going to be really careful not to, after having done the lines, I'm going to have to be very careful not to slip into coloring in the lines. Okay, this is a bit of an experiment. I admit it. You do not have to do what I'm doing. We're all going to find out together if we actually like this effect or not. I could just be a real portrait painter in the world just rolling his eyes at this point, changing the channel because he can't stand to watch somebody desecrate an oil painting to this extent by using pencils. So sayonara to all you purists who I am driving crazy right now. I'm putting a little highlight in the eye there. As I say, when I'm using pencils in a landscape, which is very typical for me, of course. Okay, that's number one and two. Number one and two. Number three, yeah, here we go. Number three is the arch in her left nostril, and then the rounded bottom part of her nose, and that's 3, 4, and 5 right there. Numbers 3, 4, and 5. It's all right there. 3, 4, 5. When I'm doing landscapes, I use pencils, of course, for the last 3 years or more. And I use them for two reasons. The lesser reason is because they really do aid in capturing realistic, similitude, realism. And that's what I'm using them for right now. But the main reason I use them, same thing here in the portrait, is because I like the way the pencil looks next to the paint. So I usually say scratchy pencil next to smooshy paint. I can use that word, smooshy. It's a technical term, smooshy. And I like the way it looks. Look at my numbers. 6, 7. Yeah, bottom lip. Edge of the bottom lip, which is not indicated in this painting yet at all, but now it is. And look at, again, look at the way I'm holding the pencil. Right? The control freak grip. When I teach a drawing class, I get my students to hold the pencil in this manner. But right now, I'm not sketching. This is a time for just control and detail. What a darling little face. One of the fun side benefits, maybe, of doing portraits of people. I've done of people over the years. One of the fun side benefits is that while you stare and focus on somebody's face, you fall in love with their face. It has never ceased to happen one time. It's never failed to happen even one time. Whether the person is ostensibly handsome, beautiful, or not, you fall in love because you get in touch with their humanity. I love it. Of course, I don't need any encouragement falling in love with my granddaughter's face, right? This is rather the exception to the rule. I have all kinds of emotional entanglements with this sweet little face. But even if it weren't my granddaughter, I would still be going, oh, this is so precious, etc., etc. Got it? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Same thing over here. Oh, I'm looking at the width between her teeth. So the first tooth here is a little wider, then narrower, then wider again. And just a hint of the next tooth is showing through. Just a hint. That's looking like my granddaughter, I am happy to say. Okay, let's see, 7, 8. Right, I already got that. This curve here is number 8. Number 9. Oh yeah, the curve on the outside of this hand. Number 9, number 10. Yeah, this curve doesn't even exist on the painting yet, right there. 10, 11, where is it? Oh yeah, I came back and re-emphasized that smile line. 11. Okay, 12. This is a funny one. My ear is like, the ear that I had roughed in is like off by a mile, 1/4 inch to be exact. But in a portrait this size, being off by 1/4 inch is a mile. So move that ear over. And then while I'm doing ears, there's just the slightest hint of an ear right here. And I want to make a mark so that I don't forget it later. 12, 13, 14, hair down here. Of course, I've hardly even begun to worry with hair. 14, 15. All right, here we go. Yeah, some significant, again, off by a mile up here, I think. Carving off the top of her head, which is ironic because I usually tend to not put enough on top of the head, but I think this time I actually overdid it just a little bit. 16, 17, 18, the hair down here. Okay, so I'm done with all my numbered corrections, but while I've got this pencil in my hand, I'm going to go ahead and do what I did over here, and that is just re-emphasize the little corrections that need to be made, or not so much corrections, next level of detail. Let's go ahead and knock some of those things out of the way. Again, using a pencil like this in a portrait, I've never done this exactly this way. So this is definitely an experiment. The last time that I did a bunch of portraits was at least a couple years ago. I've done here and there all the time, but the last time I did a bunch, my crazy pencil technique was not fully in gear. It wasn't something that I was sort of committed to the way I am now. So this is a new season for me. We'll find out if I like the effect. If I don't, this might be the last time I ever do this. My guess is I will like it, but I'll probably make some slight modifications in the way I'm using the pencil. Perhaps not so much. I don't know. Not my job at this point. Not my job to evaluate how I'm going to evaluate. It's just my job to execute and just do it. So let's do the best we can and see how we like it. Almost all the advances that I have made in my painting career. Again, to give you some sense of perspective, I started painting, oil painting 1998, 99. So 20 years ago. Again, don't be confused by that. I'm not saying I started being an artist. I was a full-time professional illustrator for decades before I ever picked up a tube of, since youthhood, that I ever picked up a tube of oil paint. So I didn't start doing art 20 years ago. I just started doing oil painting. And so it's been as adult life goes, that's a pretty short time, 20 years. And almost every improvement discovery that I've made has been quite by accident, like this, like experimenting, saying, I wonder what would happen if blank. Now, let me go back to this tool for just a minute. Is anybody leaving any comments yet? Any chat? Nope. Okay, good. If I don't catch them now, I'll catch them later. I'm a little iffy about the length of this arm. Now, I've already done this once, so I'm going to do it again. From this where her wrist intersects her cheek down to the far corner of her elbow is that long. Now I'm turning it around. Yeah, for some reason, it's coming off way too short, and that's a mystery to me because it fits the grid. So I don't understand why it's not lining up with my original grid, which you can't see anywhere. I wiped it all off, almost all off. You can just barely see little bits of it. Be that as it may, I'm going to go with it because it looks short here, and it's coming up short using the dividers. So I don't understand why the grid isn't working, but I'm going to go with it. By the way, I am going to add her watch here in a minute. That comes late in the process. Okay, so let's turn it around. And yep, once again, that is very odd. So evidently something's wrong with my grid or something. I don't know what, but yes, that looks better. This was too short. I might even be able to, if this paint is still wet. Oh yeah, good. I can go ahead and actually erase, so to speak, those erroneous lines so I don't get confused by them later on. Again, that's pretty dirty because I picked up some pencil there. My underpainting is acrylic, and of course I'm painting now in oil, so that's why I can go ahead and rub the heck out of this canvas without worrying about lifting any of the underpainting off, because the underpainting is acrylic. Once again, I'm going to make a special Christmas offer. If anyone wants me to do a portrait of a loved one or of yourself, $500 for a face. If it's multiple faces, it'd probably be something, just to give you an idea, and I'll spell all this out. It'd be $500 for one face, $900 for two, probably $1,300 for three, something like that. So take off $100 for, say, if you have 5 kids, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, $100. Whatever that ends up being, $1,500 for 5, something like that. That's pretty cheap. My clients who pay for my work certainly don't get it for those kind of rates, just in case you're wondering. But it's two things. Number one, it'll be fun for me to do portraits for a change. Number two, I need the practice, so I would be glad to do it. And number three, I can use the money. So so that's why I'm offering to do portraits so cheaply. If I were represented in galleries as a portrait, I wouldn't be able to offer that kind of deal. But none of my galleries carry me as a portrait painter, so I have the liberty, I feel, of offering that kind of deal. Let's go ahead and finish some of hers. I'm done with this now. I hope that was helpful to you. I often keep some of these just so that next time I teach a portrait class, I can show my students several samples of this process so they know exactly what to do. Okay. Let me finish drawing out some of this. Now I ask you, what happens? What would I do if I continue to paint, and if I lose, which can happen, believe me, if I suddenly lose her likeness? I'm quite happy with that. That looks like my granddaughter. It helps to know the person you're painting, and that, because you know what she looks like, you know what they look like, and that looks like her to me. If I lose her likeness, what am I going to do? The answer is the same thing I just did. Pick up my camera, take a picture of my painting, put it next to the photograph, flip it, mirror image, and then make all my adjustments accordingly. It would not unheard of for me to do that process. I've done it twice now. Not unheard of for me to do it 3 times in one portrait. Rare, but not unique. 2 is usually all it requires. This is probably a natural place to stop, except that I want you to be able to paint next steps. But no, I'm going to stop here, and when I got a good head of steam going, I'll bring you to watch me again. Then if anybody left to chat, nope. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Be back in a little while.